Dear friends, English literature, Elizabethan and Jacobean drama, Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe, brief questions with answers. Brief questions 66 to 114. Question 66. In which fields has Dr. Faustus obtained the degree of doctorate? Answer. Dr. Faustus has obtained the degree of doctorate in theology. Question 67. Why is Faustus a divine in appearance? Answer. Having taken a doctor's degree in theology, Faustus is divine in appearance. Question 68. What is the purpose of logic? Answer. To argue well is the end of logic. Question 69. Why does Faustus discard logic? Answer. To argue well is the end of logic. Faustus has already achieved that end, so he discards logic. Question 70. Why does Faustus discard physics or medicine? Answer. Faustus discards the course in medical science because it cannot make a man immortal and raise dead men to life. Question 71. What does summum bonum mean? Answer. Summum bonum is a Latin expression meaning the highest good, which was introduced by the Roman philosopher Cicero to correspond to the idea of the good in ancient Greek philosophy. Dr. Faustus refers to the phrase to mean the greatest good of medicine is health. Question 72. Who was Galen? Answer. Galen was a 2nd century Greek physician who had great authority on medicine. Question 73. Who was Justinian? Answer. Justinian was a Roman emperor, 6th century, during whose reign Roman law was codified. Question 74. Why does Faustus discard law? Answer. According to Faustus, the study of law suits one who toils for only monetary gain. He discards it because it is not worth his while. Question 75. Why does Faustus discard divinity? Answer. Faustus discards divinity because it does not suit his taste. Question 76. What is Jerome's Bible? Answer. It is the Vulgate, or the Latin translation of the Bible, prepared mainly by Saint Jerome at the end of the 4th century AD. Question 77. Why does Faustus decide to practice necromancy? As Faustus decides to practice necromancy because it offers unlimited profit, power, honor, and authority to him. Question 78. How does a magician enjoy more powers than kings and emperors? Answer. Kings and emperors can exercise authority only over their own kingdoms, but the power of a magician extends as far as man can imagine. Question 79. A sound magician is a mighty god. From where is the line quoted? Answer. The line is quoted from Marlowe's tragic play Dr. Faustus. Question 80. Who is Wagner? Answer. Wagner is the servant to Faustus. He is Christopher Wagner, the hero of Wagner Buck, book of magical adventures. Question 81. Who were the friends of Dr. Faustus? Answer. Belz and Cornelius were the friends of Dr. Faustus. Question 82. Who is Belz? Answer. Beldis is a person of uncertain identification, considered to be a friend of Faustus. Question 83. Who is Cornelius? Answer. He is Cornelius Agrippa, a German philosopher and writer on magic, considered to be a personal friend of Faustus. Question 84. Why does Faustus want Beldis and Cornelius to see him urgently? Answer. Faustus wants his friend Beldis and Cornelius to see him urgently because he thinks that they will help him to practice necromancy. Question 85. That is blasphemy. What is blasphemy? Why? Answer. Blasphemy means speaking in a manner insulting to God. The practice of necromancy or black art of magic is devilish, and therefore it is blasphemy. Question 86. Who advises Faustus to keep away the black art? Answer. Good angel advises Faustus to keep away from the black art. Question 87. Who encourages Faustus to study magic? Answer. Evil angel encourages Faustus to study magic. Question 88. How does the evil angel allure Faustus? Answer. Evil angel allures Faustus by saying that if he practices magic, he will be as powerful on this earth as Jove in the heaven. Question 89. Who is Jove? Answer. Jove is the chief god of Roman mythology. But in Dr. Faustus, Jove is used to mean the god of Christianity. Question 90. Why does Faustus want to beat the spirits fly to India? Answer. Faustus wants to beat the spirits to fly to India to collect gold from there. Question 91. Why does Faustus want to command the spirits to explore the ocean? Answer. Faustus wants to command the spirits to explore the ocean in order to collect precious pearls. Question 92. Why does Faustus want to send the spirits to all the corners of the newly discovered world? Answer. Faustus wants to send the spirits to all the corners of the newly discovered world, America, to gather for him delicious fruits and rich delicacies referred by the princess. Question 93. What does Faustus want to do with his army? Answer. With the help of his army, Faustus wants to expel Alexander Farnese, the Prince of Parma, the governor and general of the Netherlands, from his country, Germany, and he himself wants to rule as the supreme monarch over Germany. Question 94. Who was the Prince of Parma? Answer. Alexander Farnese was the Prince of Parma. He arrived in the Netherlands as Governor General in 1579 and remained there till his death in 1592. Question 95. What do you know about Antwerp's bridge? Answer. The Prince of Parma besieged Antwerp 1584-85 and blocked the river Scheldt with a bridge of ships and boats to prevent aid being brought by sea. But the Dutch destroyed this bridge by means of a fire ship. Question 96. What is Antwerp? Answer. Antwerp is a city in Belgium on the river of Scheldt. It is the chief seaport of Belgium. Question 97. Divinity's basis of the three. Why? Answer. According to Faustus, divinity is basis of the three: philosophy, law, and physics, because it is dull, hateful, and disgusting. Question 98. Who was Musaeus? Answer. Musaeus was a great musician, the pupil and son of Orpheus. When this legendary singer entered hell, the spirits of the dead crowded eagerly round him to listen to his music. Question 99. Who was Agrippa? Answer. Henry Cornelius Agrippa, 1486 to 1535, was a reputed magician who was believed to possess the power of calling out the spirits of the dead. Question 100. What was Lapland? Answer. Lapland was a country renowned for both witches and giants. Question 101. Who is the Queen of Love? Answer. Venus is the Queen of Love. Question 102. Who was Wise Bacon? Answer. It was Roger Bacon, 1214 to 1294, English scientist and philosopher whose scientific researches brought on him the charge of a magician. Question 103. Who was Albertus? Answer. Magnus Albertus, 1193 to 1280, was a renowned theologian. He was believed to deal in black art. Question 104. Why do the two scholars come to inquire about Dr. Faustus? Answer. The two scholars come to inquire about Dr. Faustus because they have not seen him for some time at the university. Question 105. That you being licentiates. What is licentiate? Answer. Licentiate is a degree preliminary to a doctor's given to a person after a very strict and rigorous examination. Question 106. It were not for you to come within 40 foot of the place of execution. Who says this and to whom? Answer. Faustus' servant Wagner says this to the two scholars who come to inquire about Dr. Faustus. Question 107. It were not for you to come nothing 40 foot of the place of execution. What is meant by the place of execution? Answer. The place of execution is used jokingly for the dining room, which is the place where people do execution upon the meat which is served to them. Question 108. What do the two scholars learn from Wagner? Answer. The two scholars learn from Wagner that Faustus is at dinner in the company of Valdis and Cornelius. Question 109. What is rector? Answer. Rector is the head of the university. Question 110. Why do the scholars want to go and inform the rector? Answer. The two scholars decide to inform the rector of the university so that he may wane away Faustus from his plans to practice magic. Question 111. Why was Faustus in a dark grove? Answer. Faustus was in a dark grove to do his experiment in magic for the first time. Question 112. How did Faustus bring Mephistopheles before him? Answer. Faustus brought Mephistopheles before him by reciting spells. Question 113. Why does Faustus think Mephistopheles appears? Answer. Faustus thinks that Mephistopheles appears because of his conjuring speeches. Question 114. What is the real reason that Mephistopheles appears? Answer. The real reason that Mephistopheles appears is that Faustus has provided convincing evidence that he is willing to incur the danger of everlasting damnation. Thank you, friends, for